Welcome to the Sports Talks 4133 YouTube channel. It's a huge day in sports day here. I just want to quickly say Happy New Year's to all. First episode of 2025. We got a lot to talk about today here. College football, NBA, NHL, and college basketball. I know there's obviously the 3 college football playoff games. Let's save college football for last. Let's begin in the NBA. Last night in the NBA, we saw a lot of stuff. Starting off here, Celtics win by 54 points against the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors now lost 11 games straight. And also this ties to my other one here. The Spurs beat the Clippers by 36. What is going on with the NBA this year and blowouts? It's bad. You have to think these are 2 college teams. One's a powerhouse school, one's a no-name school. I'm sorry, but we are at the professional level of the NBA, and you're going to lose by 54 points? What are we doing? There should never be a time where an NBA team loses by more than 30, really. Let alone 54 points. And this is a joke that the NBA is like this. Because you know what the NBA is? It is chuck up threes, hopefully get a rebound. If not, go on defense. That's what the NBA's became. It's starting to get unwatchable. When you're turning on an NBA game, it should be within 20 points. 54 and whatever. The fact that there was 2 games last night like this. Not to mention, the Clippers aren't even a terrible team. The Spurs aren't that good. It's bad. The other thing in the NBA last night that I want to talk about here, Shai drops 40 as the Thunder win 113-105 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Great win from the Thunder last night. Shai just stepped up and drops 40. He looked amazing out there last night. He really did. He was shooting the ball amazing. I mean, that's what we see from him every night. I mean, he's a great player for this Thunder team this year who's done a great job. And he's a great young talent who's got years to come for sure. I mean, this guy's just been balling out ever since he's joined the NBA. So shout out to Shai for his 40-point game last night for the Thunder. But yeah, and looking at the 2 NBA games tonight here, we got Mavs and Rockets. The 2 games that I'm looking out for tonight here. Mavs, Rockets, 2 of the Texas teams squaring off. The Mavs still have a few injuries to work with here. And the Rockets, just a young, fun team to watch play. They really are a great team out there. So it'll be fun to see those 2 squaring off tonight. And the second game that I want to say to look out for tonight here is the Philadelphia 76ers and the Sacramento Kings. The Sixers have won 4 games straight, along with the Kings being one of the better teams the past week or so. They've just looked really good out there they're coming off a nice win over the Mavs. I know they're below 500, but both these teams are going to be on the rise very shortly. The Sixers starting to get healthy, and obviously they don't have Jared McCain the rest of the year, which you hate to see, but guys like Embiid, George, Maxey, they're pretty much fully healthy now, and they're going to be playing a lot of games with each other. Just wait till Jared McCain comes back next year for that Sixers squad, because, man, that Sixers squad, when they're going to add, have Kelly Oubre out there too, it's going to be great stuff from them. But it should be a fun one to look out for in those 2 tonight. Let's move to the NHL. We saw a few fun things last night. We'll start off here. Dash has a 3rd period goal as the Canadiens were down 2-0, come back to win 3-2 over the Vegas Golden Knights. Remember, this was actually a Stanley Cup final matchup a few years ago. A Western Conference final matchup 2 years ago when they had the intramural, or that 2020 COVID year where it was like the Canadian teams were in their division. Every division was shaken up a bit. So that was interesting to see. But yeah, we got to see them 2 teams go after last night. The Canadiens still are not the best in the league right now. But getting a nice win against the Golden Knights is definitely something they were happy about. Coming back down 2-0 and to win 3-2. Some good stuff. Next up, the Blues win 6-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks yesterday at Wrigley Field. I mean, the Blues dominated this game. Really from the start. They looked amazing. Everywhere it kind of felt, they could have done better. They just did that right. I didn't really think the Blues did too much bad stuff yesterday. I think they played this game very well, very good. And it's fun to see, when you go out there. It stinks if you're the Blackhawks, you're playing at home at Wrigley Field, it might get blown out. It's tough to see, but, that's kind of where the state of the Blackhawks are right now. They're not the greatest right now, but they're a young team. They're going to get better. They have Bedard. They have some other great guys. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Chicago Blackhawks. in the years to come. But shout out to the Blues for their win. Next up, Ryan Storm scores a late winner in the Ducks' 3-2 victory over the New Jersey Devils. Great win. Let's give it up real quick for the Ducks. That's going to be the upset of the night, I would say. Well, in the NHL world, there's some other upsets we'll get into. But, yeah, some interesting stuff there. As the Ducks, I mean, a team that has been struggling all year comes out, gets a nice win over the Devils last night, who's arguably the best team in the NHL right now, and getting a nice win out of them. Great stuff to see from there. Finally, Fantilini scores a fourth-round shootout goal as the Blue Jackets defeat the Hurricanes 4-3. Another little upset in the NHL last night. The Hurricanes, one of the better teams in the NHL. As the Blue Jackets, they've looked good this year. They really have. I mean, they started off really slow, but the past few weeks, really been able to start stepping things up and looking good in the NHL. So shout out to the Blue Jackets for their nice win yesterday over the Hurricanes. Only one hockey game in action tonight here on this New Year's Day, and that is Devils-Kings at 6 p.m. on NHL Network. So it should be fun to see from those two squads, two teams that have been kind of hot recently. We'll see where that goes. In college basketball, just two things I want to talk about. One thing from yesterday, one thing from today. First up, West Virginia beats number 7 Kansas yesterday, 62-61. I called it. Go back and look. All right, I didn't officially call it, but I said watch out for this West Virginia team. They were 13.5-point underdogs and got the win on a game-winning buzzer beater to beat Kansas. It looked really, I called it. I'm just going to say that right now. I mean, I was saying, they're 13.5-point underdogs. The atmosphere was not crazy in Kansas yesterday. It was New Year's Eve. People weren't really going to be a basketball game there. And that's exactly what did. West Virginia took so much advantage and got the job done. So it almost felt like it was like a neutral site. I mean, obviously there were still some Kansas fans there. It wasn't like it was this empty arena, but it was not nearly as loud as it usually is. In college basketball, there one ranked game today, but I think it's actually a very interesting thing to talk about. Number 11 UConn taking on DePaul today. And you're probably going, what are you talking about? Why are we looking at this game? Well, to be honest, it's going to be interesting. DePaul is 9-4 in the year. DePaul had 3 wins last year. No, not in the span of a month. The entire year they had 3 wins. They have 9 wins this year. They've stepped it up this year. And yeah, they're going to play a 10-3 UConn, who's number 11 in the country, at home. I imagine it'll be kind of loud there. The atmosphere will be there today. It'll be interesting to see if DePaul can get the job done. Do I think they will? Probably not. But hey, the Big East has been a problem this year on the bad side. There's not really that great team in the Big East this year. We thought UConn, but then they lost 3 straight. They haven't lost since. But, Marquette, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening in that one tonight. And now, what we've all been waiting for, the college football talk. Let's start by looking at the college football games yesterday and my reactions, and then we'll get into the 3 games today. Start off here. Penn State wins 31-14 versus Boise State last night. Another thing, I called this perfectly. Well, I said Penn State was going to win 27-13. I said if they stopped Ashton Jeanty, which they did, they forced him to 2 fumbles. I know he had over 100 rushing yards, but it's Jeanty. You knew he was going to get that number. But the fact they were able to force 2 fumbles out, he had 2 fumbles on the entire year coming into yesterday and had 2 fumbles against Penn State. He lost one, he got one back. But yeah, the second thing, win the turnover battle. They did that. And the third thing, special teams. Boise State did not have the best special teams yesterday. And that's exactly why Penn State won this football game. They had the 3 keys that I thought they needed, and exactly what they did. I will say I want to give Boise State some credit on their passing game yesterday. Because the passing game actually looked pretty solid for Boise State. One thing, though, they got to learn how to throw the ball away. This boy taking sacks. They had too many bad sacks in this game, and Penn State was able to take advantage and get the job done. Some other college football notes from yesterday. Michigan beats Alabama 19-13. I said yesterday Alabama's going to win by 20 points. If you really want to make the people think, this team deserved to be in the playoff, you had to beat Michigan by 20 points, dude. They had no Will Johnson, no Loveland, no Graham, and no Edwards. They had 20-plus starters out, or 20-plus players out, and lost. And you lost to Michigan? Michigan opened up the year of 2024 with a win, and they closed out the year of 2024 with a win, both over Alabama, which is really funny to think about. This Michigan team, I actually have a real statement here. Is this 8-5 Michigan team the greatest 8-5 college football team ever? And I know it sounds silly, but let me explain. You beat Ohio State, Alabama, USC, Michigan State. I mean, and obviously I know Michigan State is not the best team, but it's their rival. They got the win, still beat their rival. They beat USC, who at the time was, 12th in the country? And real quick, USC is one of the better, I would say USC is borderline a top 5 Big Ten team right now. And you're going, that is always maybe the worst take you could have. Look at their schedule. Look at how many close games they barely lost this year. They were able to pull out some of those wins. They might be 10-2 right now. It's crazy to think. And they just beat A&M with all their starters out. So great stuff for Michigan this year to finish the year 8-5. They should be better next year, though, because they have the number 1 recruit coming in. So it should be interesting. Next up, Louisville beats Washington yesterday, 35-34. This game was a great game. I mean, 35-21 entering the fourth quarter. It looked to be Louisville just had this one under their in the win column. But Washington did not give up. They scored with about 8 seconds left, I believe it was. And then they went for 2, and you don't get it. Wait, that's the new world of football. I was watching yesterday. That's the new world of football. If you score a touchdown and you either can kick the extra point and tie it or go for 2, you're going to start going for 2. Because statistically, you are going to win. You have a better shot at winning if you go for 2 there. So you go for 2, you get it. So you're going from the 3-yard line, right? You can get 3 yards. You're winning the game. Not to mention, you go to overtime. It's kind of 50-50. Compared to maybe it's 75% chance you can get that 2-point conversion, So interesting stuff there. But Louisville, congrats on your bowl win. Next up, Illinois beat South Carolina 21-17. The SEC is terrible in bowl games this year. They really are. And it'll be interesting to see, with their bowl games tonight, with Georgia playing in the Sugar Bowl. Should be interesting to see what happens there. But back to this one, South Carolina, what are they doing? 9-point favorites and you lost by 4? Come on. I mean, seriously. I'm sorry. Illinois is not that great of a team. They're a good team. But if you're a 9-3 South Carolina team that was just kept on complaining about, we should have been in the playoffs. This. We beat LSU. It was a stupid call. Shut up. If you can't beat a 9-3 Illinois team, you do not deserve to be in the playoff. Period. Moving on. LSU beats Baylor 44-31 yesterday. Baylor kind of racked up the score a bit in this one to make it look a bit closer because it was a blowout. I mean, really. Like I said yesterday, LSU just looks great in bowl games that just don't matter. It's funny to see. It really is. But, LSU, they finished the year at 9-4. Obviously, they wanted to be better, but it is what it is for LSU. And now it's time to look at the 3 college football playoff games today here. Texas, Arizona State, Ohio State, Oregon, Notre Dame, Georgia. 3 great college football games to look out for today. Let's actually just go in chronological order, shall we? And then we'll eventually go into our picks. So start off here. We have Texas taking on Arizona State today at 1 o'clock in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Georgia. This one is a game where I'm trying to figure out how this game can be close. And I know Arizona State is 11-2. They've had a great year. But there's also something in the back of my mind that says Texas is about to win this game by 30 points. Because I know Arizona State blew out Iowa State in the Big 12 title game. I know they haven't lost a game since October 19th. But they're still in a position where I'm not super high on them. Because you look at these, sure, they got some great ones on their belt. Kansas State, BYU, Iowa State, Utah at the time it was ranked. But now I look at it, and you look at those 2 losses this year. Texas Tech, which isn't terrible, and Cincinnati. It is crazy to look at that time when they lost to Cincinnati and go, wow. They lost to Cincinnati by 10 points, and here they are getting a bye in the college football playoff. The thing about this Arizona State team is, and obviously they've been able to step it up. They're on a 6-game winning streak, which includes their conference title win. It is all going to come down to how does Sam Leavitt show up today against Texas? Because now you're going to put the Big 12 behind you, and go focus on the SEC. You know, the SEC and Big 12, I'm sorry, it's a big difference. Look what Oklahoma happened. Nearly were in the Big 12 title game last year and looked terrible this year. Texas, on the other hand, I know that these transitioned. They went in the SEC title game and they lost. But they're technically up. They're former Pac-12. So how is this, Big 12 team going to handle Texas? And I'm sorry. Here's my key points. How Arizona State went. 3 points. Number 1, limit the turnovers. Obviously, simple. Number 2, stop Quinn Ewers / Arch Manning today, especially on the QB rushes. That will kill them today. They need to stop the QB scrambles by Ewers and Arch Manning. Number 3, they need to be able to run the ball. Run the ball today. You need to run the ball. Because this team, we know, they love to pass it. 2,663 rushing passing yards on the year, 24 touchdowns. They love to throw. We got to see Cam go after today. Cam Skidmore. How is he going to play today against this Texas team? He needs to get the ball a good amount today. Because this is what happens when Arizona State gets down. They love to start throwing the ball around, and that's where problems are going to happen. So if you can get him the ball today, get him a lot of rushes, I think you got a shot. How does Texas win? 3 things. Number 1, stop the Arizona State rushing game. Number 2, find also the rushing game for Texas. Because, again, Ewers loves to throw the ball around. So find the rushing game, establish the rushing game. Number 3, just play smart. You're a way better team than Arizona State. Just play smart, and you got this. It's simple, easy. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes down. I'll get my predictions and all that in a minute. Ohio State takes on Oregon today at 5 o'clock in the Rose Bowl today in Pasadena, California. The greatest venue in college football. I mean, every time you look over and you just see it, you just go, man, what? Like, this has been it was kind of started as a joke, but I think it's a real question now. Should the Rose Bowl be where the national championship is? Watch the Rose Bowl today. And just see how great the Rose Bowl is. If you haven't already. The skyline. Because I was there in the 2020 game on January 1st, 2020, Oregon, Wisconsin. Yes, the Jonathan Taylor versus Justin Herbert. It was awesome. Great game. The views there is just amazing. And we're going to take the 2 best teams in the country. I would say, and I have a Michigan football on this podcast. And this Ohio State team lost to Michigan. And we are taking the 2 best rosters in college football. So I don't have the 2 best teams. I don't think Ohio State is the top 2 team in the country right now. We're taking the 2 best rosters, though, and we're going to put them in the greatest sports venue in the world. Not to mention the uniform matchup today is amazing. I don't know if you saw the Oregon Ducks uniforms. Amazing. We are in for a phenomenal game, folks. Buckle up. How does each team win? It's really just kind of the same for each one. Play smart, win the turnover battle, and then this is the only thing. Ohio State needs to play really good on defense. Oregon also needs to play really good on offense. Why? Excuse me. Ohio State needs to play really good on offense. Oregon needs to play good on defense. Whoever wins that matchup is who I think ultimately is going to determine who wins. So Ohio State has a great defense. Oregon has a great offense, right? We're going to see them go clashing against each other. It's the other one, How does that go to play? And finally, the 8:45 game tonight here in New Orleans at the Superdome, the Sugar Bowl today. We've got Notre Dame versus Georgia. So this one should be a great game today. Notre Dame, obviously, coming off a great win over Indiana. They're going to be able to compete. They're a great team, great squad. Arguably the best roster in college football right now. And I will stand by that. And I know I said Oregon, Ohio State have the 1 and 2. That is true. I think they have the 3rd best roster in college football right now. Georgia might be the 4th best roster in college football. I mean, this game could be great. Georgia, here's the thing though. No Carson Beck. So if this game comes down to the wire, who do you trust more? Riley Leonard or Gunnar Stockton? Pretty safe to say it's Riley Leonard. Because also Notre Dame with the rushing game this last when we saw them against Indiana looked amazing. So both teams are going to match up very well. 2 great squads going at it. Notre Dame, you're a great team. If you play your game, you're going to have a shot. Same with Georgia. Both teams match up great. We are in for a phenomenal game today, folks. So it is now time for my predictions. We'll start off today. Texas versus Arizona State. You knew this one was coming. Give me Texas to win. Horns up. Simple, easy. I'm going to go Texas to win this one 35-17. I think that Arizona State will be able to hang on for a bit, but nothing crazy. We're actually going to skip over because Ohio State, Oregon, college game days there, so we'll do that one last. Notre Dame versus Georgia. A great game today. All I got to say is, what's that coming down the track? What's that coming down the track? It's the me machine in the red and black. Ain't nothing finer in land than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan. Go Dogs! Go Dogs! Go Dogs! Sick 'em! Woo, woo, woo! You not see this jersey I'm wearing? Give me Notre Dame to beat Georgia today and win the Sugar Bowl. Notre Dame by 50. All right, I'm actually my prediction. I'm Notre Dame 30, Georgia 28. Go Irish. Beat the Dogs. And now, Ohio State versus Oregon. We saw these teams back on October 12th. It was an absolute classic. Oregon wins by a single point at home against Ohio State. Now we're going to neutral field in the greatest venue of all the sports in Pasadena, California, for the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, between the world-famous Ohio State Buckeyes and the number one team in the country, the Oregon Ducks. Will Howard versus Dylan Gabriel. Off the Oregon offense versus the Ohio State defense. We've got everything in this one. For my predictions, you know you make me want to shout, give me Oregon to beat Ohio State today. Ohio State is going down. Ryan Day cannot win the big game. Give me the Oregon Ducks to win this football game. Oregon 31, Ohio State 30. It's a 1-point game, but Ryan Day cannot win close football games. So those are my my Wednesday college football playoff predictions. We've got a great slate of games today. Enjoy it. We've got such a fun slate. And yeah, Happy New Year.